Welcome everybody, welcome to my channel, The Financial Trader's Mindset. In this video, I'm going to talk about concentrated liquidity and thinking of it as inventory management. Think of it as a business, controlling the supply of your inventory, knowing where to buy, knowing where to sell, right? When doing concentrated liquidity. I'm going to walk through it and show you why probably 90% of the time, you probably should be wide in your liquidity pools. Squeezing and tightening the ranges of a liquidity pool, all it does is create more risk. Risk of buying too much too soon and risk of selling too much too soon as well. I like to think of it as managing your inventory, right? If you are under allocated to a specific token or position and you want to buy more, then yes, maybe you want to tighten up the ranges on the downside. That way when price goes into that range, to the downside, you accumulate more quicker. But as you get to the point where you've had enough at a specific price, you want to widen out those ranges. And that's how you control your inventory management. Here's a real live example right here. I'm using a concentrated liquidity pool with Uniswap, with the Uniswap token and Ethereum. See, when we're focusing too much on APRs and squeezing those liquidity pools so tight because you want to squeeze down an extra 20 to 30% APR on your liquidity pools, that takes a whole year to realize. How often are you in a liquidity pool for a year? Not very often, especially if you're in a tight range. Now, if you think about it, you go wider in range, give up some of that APR, find that balance. Now you can benefit from three things. First of all, you still get an APR, you still get yield, just a little bit less. Two, you hold more of the asset at higher prices, which means more capital gains, profits. And three, you mitigate risk by having a wider, lower range. You buy the asset at higher prices in a smaller frequency. If your range is super tight, you'll buy too much too quick at too high of a price. We go into drawdown, market tanks, goes down only, the dip keeps on dipping, you don't know what to do, you're freaking out, you capitulate at the wrong time because you didn't actually intend to own the asset or that much of the asset at that price, and you freak out. You got to think of it as a business, owning a business, managing your business, controlling inventory. More importantly, you should be thinking first and foremost your risk. How much do you own of the asset? How much more do you want to own? And at what prices, if prices go into your range, are you buying too much too soon? If so, you control that. That's why I use this tool here is Metrix Finance. You could forecast your yields. You can forecast exactly how to set your ranges based on how you want to manage that inventory. You can see exactly before it even happens how much of the asset you will own at different prices. So I definitely suggest getting this tool. You can use the free version, but there's also a paid version with a little bit more features, like this portfolio tracking. I love this thing. If you want to learn more, if you want to sign up, or you want to try it out for 14 days for free, check out the description below. I got the link in there. You can use my affiliate link. You'll get 14 days free. If I had to pick one tool, it'd be this one right here. It's great. I'll show here exactly why you should be thinking of your liquidity pools as inventory management. This is my Uniswap and Ethereum liquidity pool pair. You can see the transaction here, down here, 3 months ago. I set up a liquidity pool with Uniswap and Ethereum. The value was $23,137. You can see the minimum price, 100. The maximum price, 687. Pretty wide range, right? On the upside from where it currently is, that would be like about a 2x, right? 100% move in Uniswap, if I'm not mistaken. So you can see here, the minimum price of the range is 100. Maximum price is 687. So a pretty wide range and over 100% to the upside to get out of range on the upside. So that's a pretty wide range. So what that does, what I'm thinking here is that I don't want to sell off my assets too soon if price decides to move. If one of these coins decides to move more than the other. And these two tend to stay correlated. I was even willing to go down a 16% APR. Someone might look at this, man, that's crappy. But when you finally get the move that you want, look at that. It's a beautiful move. Look at my P&L, $28,000, almost $29,000. Versus HODL, I am still killing it. The yield is pretty much the profit over the hodl. So it's like I'm hodling the tokens, but I'm earning yield on top of it. So that's how much I earned in 3 months. Probably a $9,000 per year gain. It shows you the projections on yield on how much you can earn. So about $22 a day. It ain't barn burning. It's not going to feed the family. It's not going to get them steak dinner. It's not going to have them eating lobster every day. No, it does the job. It allows me to stay invested in Uniswap and Ethereum while earning some yield on top of it while I wait. And if nothing happens, if those two stay correlated, don't go out of range, at the very least, I'll earn $8,000 per year. $8,100 per year is the consolation price. Think of it in a way as not trying to optimize your liquidity pools to extract the maximum amount of yield, but think of it as in a way that the yield is a consolation prize. It's the prize you get when the move you want doesn't happen. It's the prize you get for staying in that trade. It's incentivizing you to stick to that trade, to keep that liquidity there until you get that move. And look at that move. It's beautiful, right? Over 100% from 23,000 that I staked. So you can see down here, show you again, 23,000 right there. Almost 50K right now. And if we look at the price range, you can make an argument here and say, float locker, if the price was, the lowest of the price was about 325 and the highs were about 433, you could have kept a very tight liquidity pool. I could have probably did 300 to 450. And I could have probably boosted those yields. Maybe it would have been 50, 60, 70% APR. But I didn't know that at the time. Obviously, I didn't know that. I don't have a crystal ball, right? So the way I look at it is, what is the best compromise? If I would have went tight, I would have been a huge winner, right? Because this would have stayed pretty much correlated. And I would probably boost the yields. And maybe I would have had triple the yield. It's very possible. Maybe I could have had $6,000 in yield. Dang, man. That's trading for you. You can't predict it. But what's the flip side of that, of being very tight in range, and say price went out of range? Then I wouldn't earn more yield. I would be in the weaker asset. These are the drawbacks of providing concentrated liquidity. So you find what's right for you, and you find the best compromise, because I didn't want to manage it actively. It's not, for me, it's not a very big position, 23,000 in my overall portfolio. So for me to sit here and actively watch the range and adjust it when I need to, it wouldn't work for me. Earning an extra $4,000 in yield over the course of 3 months, not worth it for me. It could be worth it for someone else. There's so many ways to make money in a market. It's going back to the original thesis here. Inventory control. That's what you want to focus on. Focus on where you want to buy the asset, where do you want to sell the asset, and then you set up your ranges to get the best of both worlds. Of course, it won't be the best, right? Because you're going to have to give some to get some. But then that's how you set up your ranges. Summary. How to think about a liquidity pool. Inventory control. Managing your business. Where do you want to buy the asset? What prices? Use Metrix Finance to set up those ranges based on that criteria. And you're like, okay, this is about the frequency I want to buy the asset. Where do I want to distribute the asset or sell it? At these prices, I want to sell it. Let's set up a range. If you have room to maybe go a little tighter, then yeah, you could do that. But if you want to be passive in a position like I was in this one, as you can see, I only had one transaction. That was when I staked it, and I haven't touched it. So my ROI on my time and my energy is amazing. This is an amazing return for doing nothing. I didn't have to work for that. I just set it up and left. Came back a few months later. Then a passive more strategy would require a wider range. A wider range allows you to manage risk because you're so wide. Risk to the downside and the upside. Risk to the downside in a way where you're not buying too much too soon and you can weather the drawdowns because you're not buying so much so soon. And also you stay in range. Also on the upside, selling higher, holding more of the asset higher so you make more capital gain profit, just like I've done here. Hopefully that's helpful. Like and subscribe, please. If you want to see more of this content, talk with me one-on-one, join my Discord. Link is in the description below. You can join my Discord for free, or there's a paid version. In the paid one, I go more in depth with my market analysis. I talk more with my members regarding concentrated liquidity, how to set up liquidity pools, what I'm doing in the market. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Peace.